everyone, and welcome to Physics for Dummies Part 3. Let's get right into it. So today we are going to be talking about Newton's third law of motion, which states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So this means that whenever one object exerts a force on a second object, the second object exerts a force of equal magnitude, but in the opposite direction onto the first object. For example, when you push against the wall or hit it, the wall pushes back with an equal force. Another example is that a rocket propels itself upward by expelling gases downward. Think of it like this. If you slap a table, your hand feels the same force back from the table. That's why it might hurt if you hit it hard enough. If you hit the table lightly, then a light force will be put back onto your hand. But if you hit it hard, then a hard force will be put back onto your hand, which is why it hurts. Another one would be when you jump, you push the ground down with your legs, and the ground pushes you up, letting you leap. So, I have a question for you guys. Why don't action and reaction force cancel each other out, even though they are equal and opposite? So, just think about this. Now let's go up over here. So in mathematical terms, we're stating that the absolute value, the magnitude of the force 1 acting on the second object is equal to the magnitude of the second force acting on object 1. So the magnitude of the action force is equal to the magnitude of the reaction force. So look at this picture, right? This person is pushing this wall, right? And the force he's exerting onto the wall, there's a reaction force getting exerted back onto him. You push on the wall pushes back. So let's say F1 over here, the way he's pushing, is equal to 10 newtons. What would F2 be equal to? Now remember, it says this is equal, they are equal and opposite in magnitude, reaction and action forces, that is. Well, keep in mind no vector signs over here, so that means it's also just going to be 10 newtons. Now, the way we know, we can confirm it's 10 newtons because assume nothing, there's no acceleration, right? Revise from the last few videos. There's no acceleration, the person isn't moving and the wall isn't moving. So we can say that the sum of the forces, and we'll just say right is positive. Sum of the forces in the, You know what? Let's not worry about this. Let's do something else. So F1 plus F2 equals 0. And don't forget vectors. So we know F1 is acting left and F2 is acting right. So this, let's just make right positive and left negative. So then 10 newtons minus 10 newtons equals 0. Therefore, these three dots in mathematics and physics means therefore no acceleration. Alright. So, let me think. It would be the sum of all forces would be equal to 0. And we'll make the positive side right. So this would be expanded into this. Now, let's go back to that question. Whoops. Anyway. Oh my days. Why don't action and reaction forces cancel each other out even though they are equal and opposite? Well, the answer is because action and reaction forces act on different objects, not the same one. So here's a simple breakdown. The action force acts on one object and the reaction force is on another object. For example, when you push a wall, the action force is your push on the wall. That force is acting on the wall. But the reaction force is the wall pushing back on you. So since the forces are acting on different objects, you on the wall, they do not cancel each other out. So you may be thinking, well, you would have thought that, Well, that means if I try and kick a ball, wouldn't this law state that the ball just wouldn't move, because then the ball would exert the same force back onto me? But that's not how it works. You exert the action force onto the ball, and the ball exerts the reaction force onto you, onto your foot. The reaction and action forces do not act on the same object. Keep that in mind. And yeah, so this was a short lesson. Alright, and after this we're going to get into the more nitty-gritty details of example problems and how to solve systems and equations involving forces, and just physics problems using the laws of motion. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything. Anyway, that was Physics for Dummies Part 3. Thank you for listening.